Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast, a podcast where we share our thoughts on gaming news and Kev throws out an obligatory fuck Comcast to start things off.
Fuck Comcast and Radio Connect.
I am Angelus de Mortiel, joined once again by Kev,
Glorious!
Xaiphen,
I'm so ghostly.
and we're joined by guest, as I realized that
The guest is Mortiel.
yes.
Rose is in charge. Oh,
We're now joined by Mortiel.
Don't put me in charge. This will burn to the ground.
Oh gosh, everything's messed up.
as much as we say she's the female Grim would have just let it burn to the ground.
So we are joined by our special guest here today, NightRose, who has the wrong name for everything, as per my usual. You know, let's go ahead and fix that really quick on there. Oh, good times, everybody. Kev likes to make excuses.
On the fly.
Yeah, at least I can fix it on the fly. That was something that you couldn't do before.
Couldn't do before.
Yep.
That's your
It's
fault.
about the
That
winter
is
time.
on you.
Oh, it's always on Mort.
Yeah, it is.
Hashtag blame Mort.
All right. Anyway. Anyway, we have loads of fun that we have to get to today. That's just where I'm at. But apparently Kev wanted to throw out a fuck Comcast because he doesn't know how to troubleshoot his own internet connection properly.
I don't have Comcast.
Then why are you fucking Comcast?
On Xaiphen's behalf. Because this shit breaks up more than Britney Spears. We talked about this.
But he doesn't have Comcast.
I don't have. Yeah, I don't have
I don't think you got
Comcast.
Comcast. Oh, okay.
I've got a local ISP.
So do I. That's why I'm PO'd. Because my local network was fine.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Xaiphen when they fixed it. I had to call and curse someone out. And it was fixed within 15 minutes after I cursed someone out. They should sit there for a week.
Yeah.
When I told them the minute it happened. Actually, they called me, hey, come swap your modem out because we had it out of your area to fuck up your modem.
Port's already zoned out.
I know, right? I swapped out my modem, came home, shit's all fucked up, called them immediately. Shit's fucked up. They left my shit fucked up for a week. They get this work.
Mort still needs to fix some names, I think, unless that's on delay.
It's probably not.
I'm not. There's nobody.
Everybody's name got messed up. That's what happened there. Apparently, it stickied them. I don't know what's going on there.
You are not as ready for the.
Yeah,
You cut out there.
yeah, he's already cutting out. That's okay. Anyway,
I'll be cutting out the whole stream. Don't worry.
in any case, we're having fun on here. Kev, tell me, what is it about Titanfall 2 that you're just so bad at? I that's what I really want to know. Yeah, on the bottom of the scoreboard every time we play, it's just like, man. No, I'm just
letting you get kills, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I beat you out on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Xaiphen beat you on the scoreboard, and I mean, like, Xaiphen actually just he goes AFK the whole time.
Yeah.
I
Isn't
know
that the way you're
Xaiphen's
supposed to
pretty
play
gone.
Titanfall?
Hey, I've been playing Destiny in Total War. I'm sticking to that. I dropped 40 bombs in Destiny.
I'm just
I have
saying.
scoreboards to prove that.
I'm just saying
40
that
bombs in Destiny.
there's
40 bombs in Destiny. 40 bombs in the Crucible.
40 bombs.
I'm not used to games that you don't play AFK.
Yep. We heard about a third. Exactly.
40 bombs.
Exactly.
I'm gonna leave it at that. 40 bombs.
Yeah, and that by the way is Kev playing with people that are new to the game and otherwise have never played the game before.
That's not my fault. It ain't my fault.
If he's playing with people who actually know how to play Destiny, he goes 0 and 100.
Y'all chose to wait till Christmas. I can't help that. Y'all chose to be Christmas noobs, bro. It ain't my fault.
Sorry, I was tuning out the damage control there.
It ain't my fault.
So now that we have everybody has a name and people actually exist, We do have actually some stories on here. The other thing I noticed on there is the chat isn't working, but whatever.
We ain't gonna let NightRose talk about herself for a couple minutes.
Sure.
The game she played.
Yeah, NightRose. What is your game du jour currently?
Ooh, currently been playing a lot of Stellaris again after they released the Megacorp expansion.
Good game.
Yeah.
Very good game.
Got too many mods, but you won't hear a modder say that.
There is no such thing.
No such thing.
When you start the intro frame, the sound might have
his loneliness is killing him.
I know, like it's worse than usual. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the. Oof. So we're just gonna have Xaiphen type out everything that he wants to say, so that way we can actually hear him.
Preferably in Braille.
Braille.
I might have to cut out my camera to be able to hear me.
We already can't hear him, so his audio should match his visuals.
Yeah. So with Stellaris, the new Megacorp update, huh? Did you?
Yeah.
Is that the one where you essentially they change the way that you manage like the planets for it when you're doing a Megacorp? Instead of like having normal pops, you have like business centers or something like that?
I'm not exactly sure about that because I haven't gotten to that whole part. But what I have found is that they have changed how population and the sectors are managed anyways. And they're auto-made, so it's a lot less micromanaging by the individual. So, kind of liking it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trash at Stellaris, so that's just that. Like, the map just doesn't make sense to me. But I've been playing Total War Warhammer, too, and that's the shit, too.
Yeah. Well, you're trash at that, too, though.
I'm brand new, bro.
Are you Christmas noob? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
I bought Total War 2 on Christmas.
Kev's trash at all games. That is the consensus from chat there, and if chat says it, it is true.
it's on the internet.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
Yep.
It's true.
If it's on the internet, it's true.
That is 100% accurate. So Kev, how does it feel to be trash at all video games?
I am a champion.
Uh-huh.
My friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm sorry.
Right.
Was Kev talking again? I sometimes too.
I'm
I'm just gonna look deep in thought. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, I've actually been busy trying to get the chat. Apparently, it's not working on the stream. So yeah.
I was gonna make mention of that.
Everything fail.
Yeah, everything's failing.
Someone call IT.
Yeah, no, that won't work because
Because you are IT.
Because I am IT. Oh no! Apparently everything's broken. Nothing works. The usual. Yeah. Anyway.
Yay!
So fun stuff. We do actually have some stories to discuss today. Granted that Kev is done eating over there.
Oh, I'm not. This buzz on point. This buzz is great.
So Kev, the first story we have to talk about, I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity there to discuss.
What, show for Destiny?
Well, yes, I wanted to let you show for Destiny because I know how much you enjoy.
I do enjoy Destiny.
Oh, that's not what I was talking about.
What, to see the fall of Activision? I love that too.
Well, no, that would actually isn't a bad
that's
one.
glorious.
Yeah, that's actually
that is glorious.
Yeah, that is actually 100% good.
Damn it.
But no, so let's
and
go.
I heard that since the split between Activision and Bungie, that Activision stocks have.
Yeah. Well, so what exactly? So give us some of the details of this. What's the full rundown of what's going on here?
So TLDR, because I don't like reading articles online allowed. I really just don't.
Kev has no idea what's going on.
No. I know what's going on. Now, let me finish. Because I'm not going to read this article. I'm going to give you guys a summary, if you will. Bungie Activision split, but nobody really knows why. Bungie gets to keep the name for or gets to keep the IP for Destiny. Activision is going to go on. They're going to work on their own IPs. Keep shilling COD, keep shilling all these other games, keep running Blizzard into the ground, that kind of thing. And Bungie's going to hopefully be an indie dev, but you don't know because the Xbox fanboys are already begging them to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They already did. And from what I heard, Phil's already said no. He's already stamped that out, but they want him back. Well,
as far as I understand too,
it's schism involved with that with the 343 break.
Yeah, that
if 343 closed their doors tomorrow and Bungie came back, nobody would mind.
Well, that's because the Halo games were better whenever Bungie was making them.
Even though all the people that made the good Halo games are gone from Bungie.
Yeah.
People love Bungie.
But that's because it's not. I don't think it's necessarily the people so much as it is the spirit behind making the game. Whereas with the Halo trilogy, the original trilogy of the game, there's a certain spirit of like kind of creativity and like just wanting to make a good game. Whereas the Halos after that were just pretty much we want to keep this money train going.
They started off.
What I will say about the Halos after Bungie, I preferred 343 multiplayer. I don't have a problem with Bungie multiplayer, but I really do prefer.
They kind of went COD, honestly, with the later.
They went COD in Halo 4, yes.
Yeah, that was the first 343 game, right? They pretty much.
They also have Halo 5.
Yeah,
Halo 5 took it a lot back to its roots.
The
only problem I really have, download Forge mode.
Okay.
Download Forge mode, you'll see for yourself.
Yeah, because there's no real multiplayer on PC. No matchmaking. Sorry,
you have to go and find the
there's multiplayer, just no matchmaking.
Yeah, no matchmaking.
There's artificial matchmaking out there.
Yeah, and the mouse acceleration is kind of funky, but you can get on there. You can find lobbies to play in.
Yeah,
on PC. Though they're never ending lobbies, you basically just go in and shoot each other, die, and come back and do it some more.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, but to me, Halo 5, the arena, feels a lot like Halo 3, with the exception of you have the sprint, which I know is a big game changer. It really changes the pace. The maps are bigger because of the sprint, and you have the shoulder charge, which is basically a one-shot kill.
Wow.
Outside of that, to me, it really feels like feels like Halo 3. I don't
shoulder charge. I must have. The shoulder charge. What do you mean?
Like you can rush up someone and literally shoulder charge them, and it's one shot kill. Like hit them with your shoulder as you're rushing. Yeah, they've added that to Halo.
Well,
5.
I never actually. I messed around with the game, but I didn't actually get.
Did you get shoulder charged? Or did you not?
I didn't get around. I didn't stick around with it long enough to actually play against other people. I was just screwing around with settings and controller configurations and map making. And then I got bored with it and like, all right, I'm done.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Wall check, bitches.
Xaiphen, calm down. Your nerd is showing.
Apparently.
He doesn't like games. He likes the settings for the game.
Hey, you know what? There is a point in time if I'm going to play a mouse keyboard game where I have to spend like sometimes upwards of 30 minutes just setting up the G13 just right.
I do that with RTS a lot of times. Like I want to set those controls right.
Yeah, you gotta set that up just how you like it.
Steam controller.
There's a lot of games where I just use a controller and don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Some FPS games are like that too. Like I do not like having my melee not on.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's like if my melee is not on F, it just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
I don't like using the keyboard, so.
I love the keyboard. I love the keyboard.
Me neither, but or a mouse.
I have it mapped to the G4 button on my G13. That's right where my middle finger is, so that way I can melee people while flipping them off.
That's probably intentional too.
That's good. Two things isn't right there. See, I don't like not gyro.
Now back to the Activision Bungie split though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys? How do you guys think this is going to? Because this is, I think, going to be big for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get a big, because like love it or hate it, Bungie's still a big game.
Yep.
Love it or hate it, Bungie's still a big studio. Activision, like this is a big deal. This is going to be, I think, going to be a big deal in the AAA games industry.
I do think this sets. I do think this does set a precedent for a lot of those. The thing is that Bungie it was an independent contractor of Activision, right? They were not not an owned studio, so they're not like BioWare, for example. BioWare is not going, like, this should not be seen as, oh, BioWare is going to somehow escape from under the thumb of EA. No.
As much as I'd love to see that, I'd love to see BioWare escape. I want to see Naughty Dog escape.
Here's the thing, Kev.
That's one thing I want to.
Go ahead.
I want to throw in there real quick, like the reason why they got out of there with Destiny is because they learned from when they broke from Microsoft. Microsoft maintained the Halo IP. They could have walked away with that, but they, went in with more standardized contracts in favor of the publisher. And as they went to work for Activision, even though it was not a full umbrella deal, it was more of a contract deal, they made sure to keep rights to their IP.
Mm-hmm. Well, my understanding was the reason they left Microsoft in the first place was, one, they wanted to work on Destiny, and Microsoft wasn't having it. They wanted to keep making Halo.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they wanted to own their own IP. It's the same reason why Insomniac won't go and stick with Sony, even though they make most of their games for PlayStation, because they want to own their IPs.
And that's mm-hmm.
like IP is, because IP is everything.
Yeah.
Think about Telltale. Somebody might have actually picked up Telltale if they actually owned IP. But Telltale, if they don't have money to pay for those licenses, they're worthless.
Yep.
And that was the problem.
Well, so the first thing I notice on there is that I think that the way the contract worked, in order for Activision to kind of get theirs, so to speak, the IP was jointly owned for a period of time. I think that was the original 10-year agreement that they signed way back in the day, was like so many years of this contract, the IP is jointly owned to prevent any one party from, kind of just walking away with something super valuable, right?
Right.
The second thing on there that I really kind of suspect is that Activision was okay with walking away from the IP because Destiny 2 didn't meet their sales projections, which it sold well enough. But the thing is that Activision Blizzard, being a publicly traded company, they have to publish sales projections for any given big title they're releasing for investors. And it has to be publicly done. It has to adhere to specific guidelines. And if it doesn't meet sales projection, guess what? Their stock goes down, right? And I think that's the thing is that while their stock may dip with the initial announcement of this, I think that overall their stock is going to end up higher as a result of this, is because of the fact that IP was not netting nearly as much profit as Activision would have liked. And I think that investors are paying keen mind to that. So getting rid of something that's just essentially a cost for Activision to market and to distribute, instead, now they just make money on the back end of it, because now it's being distributed through the Blizzard web store, right? So they still make some money off of the PC sales. Yeah. So I guess that's something at least.
What was I going to say? I'm wondering what this is going to mean for Destiny in the future, because a lot of people have made a lot of speculations about, maybe that means we're not going to get as much DLC, or, it's Activision's fault that they had the microtransactions in the tower and all this other stuff. I don't think any of that's going to change. Tess, most Destiny players don't even mind Tess. You don't even really pay her any attention unless you're like deliberately wanting to spend money. Like they don't put it out there like a lot of games do. Hey, don't forget to buy our microtransactions.
Honestly, yeah. I could totally see Blizzard from here wanting to go the Digital Extremes route and take Destiny 2 as a free-to-play,
Bungie?
Sorry.
Yeah, Bungie.
Bungie. I was reading Bungie. Blizzard in front of me because Blizzard customer service. But yeah, I could see Bungie wanting to go the Digital Extremes route, take Destiny 2 or Destiny in Forever, whatever the hell the name they want to call it, as a perpetual title, a live service game like Warframe. I mean, they have very similar gameplay loop styles as is. It would not be difficult for Bungie to convert it over to that, and that would allow a kind of a continuous revenue system for them as an independent studio, right? They don't have to worry about going through the purse strings of Activision anymore. So,
yeah.
As much as that sounds like a cool idea and it works for Warframe, I don't know. I don't know how that would work for Destiny. I'd have to see it in action.
There's not nearly enough.
I don't want them to change the loop.
There's not nearly enough content in Destiny right now as it is to be able to be sustainable like Warframe is. That's the key.
What they'd almost
go ahead,
what
Rose.
they'd almost have to do, and I feel like if they could merge Destiny 1 and 2 into a single like universe game, and then maybe sell that, then they've got quite a bit of content, but they'd almost have to still completely redesign the game to make it Warframeable.
I don't know if I'd say maybe it doesn't have as much content as Warframe does. I'm not aware of how much content is actually in Warframe.
A lot.
Destiny.
Yeah.
I'm saying Destiny 2 at this point has a shit ton of content in it. The launch game didn't have much content in it.
I don't know if you quite realize Warframe is at this point kind of a study in entropy. It is like 6 years worth of adding more and more shit. Like they add
right. My argument wasn't that Warframe doesn't have content. My argument was against your idea that Destiny doesn't have a lot of content. Destiny has a lot of content, just not as much as Warframe. Well,
no, that's what I'm saying is that it's the magnitude, and I'm not saying necessarily it's good content, all of it, because there's a lot of stuff in Warframe that just seems like it's filler shit, right? And that's a lot of the what I see with Destiny is that it seems like that most of their, like, for example, say weapons, right? There are maybe, say, I would say like 15% of the weapons in Warframe are completely fucking useless and are just what I would consider they get called mastery fodder because people just grind them. Yeah. They just level them up to get the mastery out of them and then dump them, like, because they're useless, right?
We get a bunch of blue weapons and we break them down and we use them to build up our other weapons that we have for our purples and our legendaries that we have, or exotics that we actually want to keep.
Yep. So the thing is that I think that there's a lot higher amount of those kind of useless fodder weapons in Destiny than there are in Warframe.
Based on what?
I'm just based upon what I've seen of the weapons that people get. There seem to be a lot of generic. Here's a generic DMR. Here's a generic assault rifle. Here's a generic this weapon. You know, essentially, there's a lot of weapons that don't seem like they have a lot of unique personality to them, which gives people the even though there is a lot of weapons, it gives people the appearance that there are less of them. If that makes sense.
That's half true. The what Destiny has, they where each roll of your weapon, you can get two of the same gun, and it could have, and each gun has its own perk set, which sometimes can add its own unique elements to it. Mm-hmm. For example, there was a hand cannon that I had gotten, just a revolver. But depending on what you get, you could get the perk kill clip, which allows you to, or not kill clip, rampage, which allows you to kill people faster and you get more damage, faster reload speed for 10 seconds for headshots. Mm-hmm. You can get another one that heals on kill, another one that will add to your, I forget all the names of them. Another one that will add to your super energy a little bit more. And all the guns have this. I have a freaking LMG called the Thunderlord that just basically shoots out arc energy. So think of like the electrical powers that you use in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
For the engineer. Yeah, it shoots that out of the gun. So you shoot the enemy with your bullets, plus it has the electricity AoE.
Yeah, Ambrix.
No.
Xaiphen knows what I'm.
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
I'm saying that in every gun like that is unique that you can get.
Well,
each gun will get its own. Chain lightning. That was the ability I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And each gun can have its own variant, or you can just get random perks on it.
Yeah, see, in Warframe, you have one weapon, and that one weapon is one weapon. You can't. I mean, you can have two of the same weapon, but it's useless. There's no point to
difference between the two.
You can get the same weapon in Destiny, or you can get the random rolls. That's why I'm like, to say that the weapons are like kind of bland, kind of boring, kind of the same. If you get a bland variant of the gun, you break it down and wait till you get another.
Well, what I'm talking about there is that, like for example, in Warframe, if I have a gun, I have that gun, and then I can on the fly swap out the mods, which you're familiar enough with that. You've played enough of Warframe to know that the mod system gets pretty ridiculously deep. I mean, there are at this point a lot of really must-have mods, but you have one weapon. You don't have to re-roll or get a new version of that weapon that has randomized perks on it. You put the perks on it that you want. And I think that's
Now there is one effect of actually
hit me, baby, one more time.
We heard like 3 words of that sentence.
We had like complete silence until I did that.
Yeah, let's. Am I still cutting?
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no.
What? Okay. Well, at any rate, what I was going to say is there is kind of two.
He gets
prime version
and did it again.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You get about 3 words of the sentence out, and then it just.
Yeah, I give up.
Yeah, there are different versions of weapons. Like you could have Pistol A, and then you could have Pistol A Prime and Pistol A Vandal, which might have different innate abilities to them, but then you can still mod them with other perks. So but those aren't those perks that you get for the variations, like the Vandal versus the Prime. Those are fixed. They're not randomly generated. And I think that's what I'm getting at, is that Warframe has like ridiculous amounts of weapons, ridiculous amounts of Warframes, a ton of different levels at this point that you can play in. And I feel like when you look at them from a on paper standpoint, I feel like that people might think that Destiny has less content to it, simply because a lot of Destiny's content seems like it's kind of repeated. I should say there's a lot more. I don't know what the right word is. There's a lot of re-rolled content in there, which, I mean, is good for a framework because it's less work for your developers, but the downside is that means that people might play that for a shorter period of time than Warframe.
Now,
yeah. Warframe tends to maintain people by feature creep.
Yeah, because there's so much.
And I think there's also two kinds of people out there. So there are people out there that they just want a shit ton of content, whether it's good content, bad content, okay content. There's people out there that just will settle for just okay content, and it's a lot of it, or a mixture of okay and really good content and a lot of it.
And that's how Perfect World stays in business.
I didn't even catch it. Mort said something about staying in business.
That's how Perfect World stays in business. Am I still cutting out, by the way, or am I clear now?
Well, you're clear now. I just heard you and your brother at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think I fixed the cutout issue. I hope.
We'll find out.
Hopefully. We'll find out. Yeah. But what was I saying? As opposed to with Destiny, I feel like for the most part, with Destiny 2, with the exception of the launch and Curse of Osiris, all of the content that they've launched has been good. And I feel like that's the big difference. There's they release consistent good content. It's just a matter of there's not as much of it as like the Warframe, who's been building on the same game for 6 years.
Exactly. Whereas
Destiny, Destiny 3, where they're going to start over again because that Destiny 1 content didn't come over. You had to start over from scratch. And I expect the same thing in Destiny 3 also.
And I feel like that's the mistake. What Rose said, I kind of agree with. If they combine together Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 and then expanded onto it from there, where their expansion packs would be continue with the same size as expansion packs, because honestly, that's kind of what Warframe does. Warframe has quote unquote expansion packs, right?
Oh yeah, Warframe does massive expansions. Don't they do like 1 or 2 a year?
1 a year usually that I notice.
There's one major one a year, and there sometimes there's a little bit of a background rebuild every year.
Yeah, they have multiple concurrent like arcs of development that they have going on, like new weapons or new warframes. Those will come out like weapons might be like every 1 month to 3 months. New warframes might be one every 6 months thereabouts. Whereas new levels you might get, or new rebuilds, I should say, might be one big rebuild a year, and then one big like expansion content drop per year. And they all kind of keep these running as a concurrent system. And I think that's like Xaiphen said, that's a lot of what keeps people in. Is that
that's another thing is they don't do like when they do a back end rebuild, they don't rebuild the whole game like going from Destiny 1 to 2. They like, all right, we want to change how the firearms do damage, the damage trade-off, or we want to change how the warframes move through the environment, that sort of thing, or we want to do a UI overhaul. They do one at a time. They don't try and scrap everything and rebuild the whole thing. They pick a section at a time and roll with it.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like I like Rose's idea. I don't know how that would work because the original Destiny wasn't on PC. So I don't, and I know there was like some technical reasons why I guess they couldn't bring it over.
Yeah, technical reasons, as in.
I was going to say something they could do well. It might not have been a technical reason. It might have just been too big of a workload because the game was on 360 and PS3 too, which I think was a mistake in the first place.
Something that may work with them, depending on how. I don't know enough about the game to really know its environment, story, or anything else like that. But what they could do is release a DLC for Destiny 2 that includes all of Destiny 1, or as much as they can actually make work with it, that they can make mesh.
Essentially,
you don't want to do that with story content because Destiny 2 basically wiped out all of Destiny 1 story.
Well, the thing is that essentially, Kev, obviously you've been playing a lot of Warhammer, or Total War Warhammer. To me, honestly, and you got the game only recently, so you didn't see this change. But when the Warhammer 2 or Total War Warhammer 2 originally released, it was only the Vortex campaign, that small map, the High Elves, Dark Elves. I can't remember. There's only a few factions in there. It was a small map. Yeah.
I've seen Eye of the Vortex.
Yeah, so the Eye of the Vortex was the original Warhammer 2 game loop, right? Or the original campaign. Then they later on, like I want to say like 6 months after launch, released the Mortal Empires expansion, which everybody who had purchased Total War Warhammer 1 got it automatically. Essentially what it was is it fused in Total War Warhammer 1's campaign into Total War Warhammer 2. And then they expanded upon that, adding more landmass, more factions to that original map. So it actually ended up being like kind of they brought in the first game stuff and then expanded upon it from there. Whereas, and I think what the way Destiny could do that is essentially take Destiny 2 as your foundational piece, then add in the story content that you can from 1 that fits in, that you can make work with the retcon and whatnot, and then build upon that from there in a similar kind of way. Mm-hmm. And I think that would make more sense to me. But I have one more thing I wanted to bring up on here, Kev, about this story, and I wanted to get you guys' ideas on it as well. So last year, Bungie announced a partnership with the Chinese tech giant NetEase, that they were exploring new directions and build new worlds, right? Do you guys think that we're going to... And NetEase, I should specify, is largely a mobile developer, right? You might have heard NetEase recently with the infamous Diablo Immortal announcement that's being co-developed with NetEase. So do you guys think that we're going to see a Destiny mobile in the future?
But don't you all have phones?
I would not count it out. Mobile is a money market, so if they're looking to make money, I would not be surprised to see that at all.
But everyone doesn't have phones.
Just smack yourself, Kev.
Yeah, just...
Smacking is easier.
I think we could see one. I wonder how they would do it, though. Would they do it as just like space shooter or like a little. I don't know how they do it. Like, but
here's the thing: is effectively Warframe is now a mobile game when they did the Nintendo port to it. So it could be something like that.
True.
Well, it's obviously a first-person shooter, so it would still be. They would likely keep the first-person element to it. The thing is that NetEase isn't really necessarily known, as far as I'm aware, for first-person shooter games. They're usually known for like the isometric action mobile games, like that.
Maybe they want to be.
Yeah, maybe that's the direction they go. I don't know. I think that I agree with Xaiphen there that it is a money market, and that means that there are a lot of potential possibilities for them to make money. But I have a feeling that it may be that they want to release a mobile game using Bungie IP, maybe a Destiny, a Destiny mobile game that is not like Destiny at all, and it's maybe a second screen. And that's kind of fallen out of popularity, so it might not be a second screen experience, but
what they might do is they might make it so that it's like a companion app where that you can do things in the mobile app, and then
that's what Mort was saying about second screen.
Yeah.
But what you do there, it would be a separate game, but then you'd sync up to like a server or something, and it would give you benefits in game, like you get minerals or something, because I know Anno 2205 does that.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that
Mass Effect Andromeda does that too?
Yeah, they tried excuse me, they tried to that was a big thing from like I want to say like 2013 to 2016. Everybody tried to get on the second screen experience hype, and it just never took up off the ground. Like
it never took off because it didn't serve a fundamental purpose.
It was silly. There was no real
like, oh yeah, hey, you could change your loadout here.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can just do it in
they didn't really go far enough with it. If they had more or less something that was a full-fledged game, not necessarily built like the main game, but still an actual game, as opposed to pretty much a stat checker.
Well, yeah, like Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda did it, but they had the mobile game, like essentially the text-based mobile games where send your troops out on this thing. This requires troops of this type, and then you click start the mission, and then it just has a countdown timer. Oh, it's going to take 5 minutes for these guys to complete this mission. Oh, it's done. Claim your reward. There was no game to it. It was a click, claim reward, and that's it.
You were doing what you did in game with the Apex missions. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the bullshit part of that. But like Xaiphen was saying, if it was its own separate game, then it would work better, other than the stat bullshit that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tricky line to do, and it depends on the format of the game, the story, the environment, a lot of factors like that, on how can you mesh two different game genres and have them interact with each other, which would be a great idea if somebody makes it work right. You have something that is well suited to mobile, that is a full-fledged game for mobile, that interacts and plays off of what you do on the desktop by generalize the platform version of the game, whether it's console, desktop, whatever, and they both affect one another. That would be an interesting idea, and I would have no argument against somebody to try to do that. Neither of them require the other. That would also be a very helpful part of that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's helpful. Yep. They make it so that you want to have the companion, but they don't make it so it's necessary.
Yep, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and they weren't trying at all to make the companion even desirable.
Yeah, really, that's my problem. Is it seemed like they didn't really have an idea. I don't know. I think there's a lot of directions they could go, but I do think that they're going to try to get into that mobile market. But we'll see. Anyway, moving on, because we could talk about Bungie all day. But moving on to a much more entertaining story on here. Xaiphen, why don't you tell us about Star Control?
Oh shit, Star Control. This is okay. I'm old enough. I remember the old and Liquid TV, MTV, Spy versus Spy. No, that was Mad TV, I think.
Mad TV.
Spy versus Spy. So we have a new twist on that. Lawsuit versus lawsuit. Let me see if I can skim through this because I can't remember the actual details. But it started off with somebody filed a DMCA takedown. Is that the first one, or is that
that's the latest? Yeah.
Yeah. But we have an issue where the original maker of the game tried to make a game, or tried to make a continuation of the game or a sequel at the same time. Somebody who bought rights to the IP, this shit is so fucking confusing. It's ridiculous. And I read both sides of the story, and I could not come to a conclusion on who was in the right on this.
Yeah, it is.
That's the one that gets me the most.
Yeah, it's.
What is it? Stardock, I think, has they tried to create a sequel, and then the original IP owners tried to make another game, or tried to make their own sequel or something like that. But the nameology was similar, but it wasn't actually the same story. So somebody filed copyright infringement, and the other one filed trademark infringement. Yeah, it's one of those things that just went crazy quickly.
Yeah, it has been a mess, and honestly, the thing is that this is where one of those court cases where I think both people are wrong, and I think that the court is starting to get that viewpoint because the judge actually just chastised both parties for inundating the court with paperwork. I'm trying to remember where that actually where that was actually said, but he was like. It's pretty sad that the Ford and Reich, the two guys that claim they own it, haven't done anything with the title in a long time, and then they want to make a game on it after someone else had. But I don't know. What do you guys? We'll go this way. Who do you guys think has the better case of these two on here? I know Kev hasn't read the article, so I'm giving him a chance to read through really quickly here.
I haven't read it. Not reading it.
I'm gonna go.
Everybody got too happy.
Let me put it this way: Stardock. Stardock is not the original creator, but they're the original owner.
No. They bought the rights to the game. That's what it was.
Bought the rights to the game. That's what it was. Well, when I was reading through it, again, it's been a while since I dug up the article, and I kind of put it out of my mind because it was just like, what the fuck is this? All right, I got to stop. But Stardock, I'm not saying they're in the right, but they're definitely pushing better PR. They're trying to be a lot more polite about things, whereas the Ford and Reich, they're just being asshats about things by the sound of it.
No, actually the thing is that
did I get that backwards?
Well, no, I don't know. They're both been pretty much jackasses. Essentially, that's as I find it on there. They're the plaintiff objecting to Reich's declaration. I created the concept for Star Control computer game. A lot of the things, and that's where I said the judge kind of is losing patience with a lot of them, is that a lot of it is that they're both just essentially trying to be copyright trolls at each other. That's really it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kev, do you have the rights to the Star Control game?
Yes, sure, why not?
He's nodding his head, so...
Yes, I know,
yes.
Right?
Kev, I think you need to sue both Stardock and Ford and Reich in order
I think the story makes my head hurt.
Yes.
That's why I'm not saying anything about it. It just makes my head hurt.
Usually...
we can't be this ridiculous.
But we can.
But this isn't the first time Stardock's had to deal with this crap either, because it was, I'd like to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, they were sued by Rebellion Games over the use of the word rebellion in their Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion game.
Good thing
we talked about this in our biggest blunders last couple weeks ago.
Well, let's just say
PUBG Corp's trying to sue Fortnite.
Yeah, for Battle Royale.
This is like even more petty than that.
No. This goes back to a one. Do you guys remember Mojang or whatever getting sued by Bethesda for having a game called Scrolls?
Oh, jeez.
Do you remember that? It's been a few years.
I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
I remember that. That's even more petty.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, this one at least there is a fight over the rights of the Star Control IP. That is what's going on here, and I can at least see there being some weight to that. My major issue is that it could get a lot more petty, and it seems like they want it to be a lot more petty.
I don't think the judge is going to allow it to get that more petty. I think they might get to the point where they throw out the case.
Well, essentially, what Stardock did, this is the petty shit on there. Stardock had filed, like, essentially a restraining order, an injunction, to prevent Ford and Reich from filing a DMC takedown. That is the most back-asswards way of doing things. Usually you use an injunction to prevent the defendant from doing something on here, but this is the plaintiff, preventing the plaintiff from doing something, which is just makes no legal sense to me whatsoever. I'm not obviously a lawyer, so obviously there's some kind of like way for them to loophole that shit in there, but the judge obviously thought that was also kind of silly, and she rescinded the injunction, and that's what most recently happened is Ford and Reich filed the DMC takedown and pulled down the Star Control Origins game from the from every storefront that they had it on. But that was like, how would you file an injunction to prevent somebody else from filing a DMCA takedown? It's like, you know what? There's probably a few YouTubers that would love to do that. Like, let me just upload your newest Marvel movie onto YouTube, and then file a lawsuit against Disney, and for an injunction to prevent them from DMCAing my video on YouTube. Just tied up in court.
The guy who regularly argues with console fanboys on Twitter, story makes my head hurt. I can tolerate these console dudes saying all this stupid shit, and I can't. No, I can't.
So
I can't do it, bro.
Hold on, say you literally can't even right now.
I can't even.
It's getting bad enough. He's just like, I don't even want to see this shit. I'm taking off my glasses. I'm gonna go blind. Fuck it.
This is one of those moments like where if I have to go buy an Xbox to keep from hearing this rest of the story, bring on the Xbox.
Did you guys hear that? Kev just said he wants an Xbox.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I heard that.
I heard Kev say,
if I have to go buy an Xbox to make this stuff go away, I'll do it. Bring on the L box.
That's the sad part of things is like when I originally dug up the story, I looked at both sides of it. Now, like I had an evaluation from one side to the other. You know, it was unbiased. It was an evaluation on one side, evaluation on the other side, and then it was just like it smoke started coming out, and then it blocked it from my memory. Like, oh wait, yeah, I was the one that posted that article. Shit. And I read it earlier tonight, skimmed through it, like, all right, I got this. No, I don't. No, I don't.
We can't do it.
You know, the funny part about it was
I didn't think I was going to pull a Kev on this one, but it turns out I did.
You know, the funny part, and it's not actually in the story, unfortunately, but the another part that I saw about it elsewhere as I was looking it up, people were getting pissed at Steam and GOG for pulling the game down whenever the DMCA. That just adds even more stupidity to this. It's like, they don't have a choice. They have to pull it down when a DMCA claim comes in. They can't just be like, well, we don't agree with Ford and Reich because, reasons, so we're not going to remove this. No, they have no choice. But there was still people getting mad at them. And I'm like, really? But really, though?
Yeah, it's like, y'all mad at the motherfuckers?
Yeah, mad at the wrong people on there.
Yeah. I mean, at least the people who already bought the game were able to keep playing the game. Like, it didn't disappear from their library.
Yeah.
That would be real fucked up. And I don't think you can... I think that's a legal problem, too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something
I buy a product, you can go through your legal bullshit, but that doesn't have to stop me from getting what I paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only counter to that is if the game is a heavily online or entirely online based game where you can start up the game and it will do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I've dealt with that on discontinued games like
Ghost Recon Phantoms.
Yep. Well, Ghost Recon Phantoms and also the much less popular Ghost in the Shell game.
Yep.
Oh, that Ghost in the Shell when they released on Steam a couple years back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a free-to-play game, wasn't it?
Yep.
Early access was paid, and then when it came out of early access, it became free-to-play.
And then there was Ghost Recon Phantoms was also free-to-play. Like I said, I still hold that game. It was 100% pay to win, and that was its downfall. And you know what? Mm-hmm. It deserved what it got. But at the same time, a lot of the base mechanics of the game made it one of the best squad shooters ever. Like, it was one of the few PvP games I could say that really forced you to work as a team. And I mean actually work as a team. Like, you still have...
the way they want you in Overwatch and Battlefield, but don't do it.
Exactly, yeah. And that's...
Love you.
Highly disappointing. Anyway, moving on to loads of fun. Rose.
Loads of fun.
Rose, so tell us about Ellie.
Last of Us Ellie? Wait, Last of Us 2?
So, before Christmas, it was just before. I think they announced it on the 21st. I don't have my notes in front of me, which, who cares about notes anyways?
Right.
They
Kev will not argue.
Some Overwatch group, I don't know their name. I don't care because who cares? I get to say that and I'm going to get yelled at.
Second Wind.
Second Wind, that's the name. Second Wind signed on a player named Ellie. And long story short, TLDR, Ellie is not a real person. It's is a real person, is some 17-year-old, but it was a social engineering or social experiment done by some dude named Phantom, I think.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, to show that female players are unjustly criticized or, it was a fucking mess. Just gonna put that out there.
Anytime social experiment, the term comes up, it usually is a mess.
Yeah. But they did it to try and show that even though with what's claimed that it would be a merit-based ascension, so that if a female was skilled enough, she would be able to be a major player, be able to join these teams and not get the harassment. The fact that they wanted to show that Ellie, even though having some of those qualifications, and man, it just fucked up bad.
I'm starting to, but people don't realize it's not the skills that get you harassed a lot of the time. It's the being a girl that gets them harassed by a bunch of virgins.
No. Here's the thing. So a little bit of fun tip on here. As I was digging into the story, fun bit.
That doesn't help. Fun tip. It still goes all to all the dirty jokes.
Only in the tip. But in any case, the part on there is that when I was researching this, I could not find anybody with knowledge of the situation intimately ever confirming what this supposed social experiment's purpose was, just that it was a social experiment. Then you had people, depending on their political leanings, either saying that it was a social experiment to show how women are given are harassed, or it was a social experiment to show that women are given preferential treatment. And that was neither of which were ever actually confirmed, as far as I read. Which is
they can't pick their struggles either.
Yeah, so it's
part of it. Part of calling something as an experiment is there has to be results. You know, that's part of it's a scientific process. You have hypothesis, and I'm horribly short-circuiting this. A hypothesis and then experiment, and then hey, here's the results of the experiment.
No, that's not hypothesis. That's conjecture, experiment, and results, I guess.
I have the results. I have everything here. I have the results. I have my hypothesis. My hypothesis was correct. They're fucking idiots.
Yeah. No, so the thing is that what I found most fascinating about this is that this was you know what this study really was a study in is confirmation bias. What you wanted to be the case of this social experiment was the case. If you wanted this to be a story demonstrating how women get harassed online, yes, there was trolls harassing women. I mean, to be fair, trolls harass everybody, but they also they will find if you're a guy, they'll try to insult your masculinity. If you're a woman, they'll try to insult your femininity. That's how trolls operate.
They'll insult a woman for having a vagina.
Yeah, but now the other hand, if you wanted this to be a demonstration that women get preferential treatment, well, I mean, Ellie was signed for the, what is it called, Contenders, Overwatch Contenders, sight unseen on a very suspicious, obviously Smurf account. Like, that's where really a lot of people that were allegedly accused of being harassers were actually people that were questioning her legitimacy. And you had some people that were like, oh, you're just questioning her legitimacy because she's a woman. And they were like, no, she has like no history in the game. She starts playing like a month ago and is top 500 with no real backstory. It's like, this is screaming red flags here. This is flashers going off, warning, this is a fake account.
But the problem also comes with the threats of doxing and other results like that. Like, there would have been a better way to handle that, and making those threats isn't it.
The thing is
even Second Wind admitted that they didn't do their
they actually released a big long statement where they onboarded her, but they were desperately trying to find a substitute and on really short terms, and they didn't. Apparently, Ellie was ranked number 4 in the North American servers. The thing is that you have, when you get a mob of people, you will have people in that mob that are going to be kind of rational and just wanting to get a fair and just resolution. But then you're always going to have that guy in the back of the group who's just going to be like, burn it down, right? That's and one of the scenes I love about in the anime One Punch Man was there was an episode about the Sea King or whatever, after Saitama just destroys the Sea King, one punch, obviously. And everybody's like, yay, he saved us. Then you got this one little fucking sniveling son of a bitch in the back that's like, but did he really though? Did he really? You know, like, just like that one guy that's got a shit all over everything. That was a perfect demonstration of how online culture is. Everybody wasn't threatening to dox or wanting to or threatening the life of Ellie or whatever. You got that little sniveling son of a bitch in the back that's just like, everybody else is like, no, we want to know the truth of what's going on here. Why is this this is obviously a Smurf account? And one guy in the back is like, yeah, dox her. You know,
they need the truth and doxing. Yep. All right.
You know, but you know, and like I said, the other thing though is that, like, the whole preferential treatment, there were other choices for a contender that were previously turned down by Second Wind, allegedly. But the first female that popped up, they chose her. And I think that, or at least that's the allegation. I don't have evidence to support that. That was the allegation. That was the allegation based from people that were wanting to see that viewpoint of women getting preferential treatment, which likely they cherry-picked evidence for that one just as much. People cherry-picked the harassment one. They picked the little trolls in their comments rather than the majority of what people are saying to support that. And like I said, this is just a study in confirmation bias. It's like what every time Kev talks about consoles.
Confirmation bias in the trollernet. I mean, internet.
Yes.
Every time I talk about consoles.
What? I thought that was going to slip by.
I don't see the confirmation bias. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm about Razer.
You will never see your own confirmation bias.
Yep.
Is this one of those things where you can't tell me that Stacey Dash still isn't gorgeous? I've already admitted to that.
I don't know.
Those degrees of separation from whatever to Illuminati is usually the common one. That's always awesome.
Beyonce's gorgeous facts. That's all there is to it.
The thing is that the problem that I majorly have, and this is something I'll largely go at anytime this happens, and this does happens a lot. The original story, especially PC Gamer's, wasn't as bad. Kotaku's was fucking horrendous.
Oh God!
When did PC Gamer come up with a good article?
Wait a minute. Why are we even talking Kotaku? I thought that was like a black.
No, we talk about them all the time.
Well, here's the thing. Kotaku gets us kickstarted into looking up stories.
Yeah, because we look up an article on Kotaku, and then I'm like, okay, now let's see what another reputable site has to say about it.
It could be worse.
Let's find out what's really going on. I've got the headline from Kotaku.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be worse. It could be IGN or The Verge. You know, we still talk about thermal paste, and if the story got stolen.
Yep. But no, so in any case, though, the thing is that the original story on this one, on all the major news sites, was that the common refrain is that esports is a meritocracy and women will succeed if they're good enough. Essentially they spun this as in, oh, this is a story of a woman getting mistreated online. And
Kev's camera failed.
It didn't fail. I had to move off the camera for a sec.
Yeah, but
I turn things off throughout the show randomly.
Yeah.
When I have to go do something for 30 seconds, they usually just ignore it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, but
don't forget to mute your mic before you take a leak.
But my milk carton's already right here. I'm already going.
What was that Naked Gun? Which was the one where the guy was at a talk show?
I just made a Naked Gun reference.
but I'm almost done.
I made the Frank Drebin Naked Gun reference.
That's amazing. Naked Gun is always a winner. But no, in any case, though, like I said, the major thing of the confirmation bias of the news media was they all went with the former party of this was just a case of women harassment, and this was demonstrative of women being harassed online. Nothing about the whole like women getting preferential treatment, because obviously women getting signed to an esports team sight unseen on an obvious Smurf account is not a case of preferential treatment. Like I said, this is confirmation bias.
For having a vagina?
Yeah, confirmation bias. Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, it is.
But how about some more lighthearted?
CastBox.
There he goes again. So how about something a little bit more lighthearted than political shit and talking about how everybody on the internet's an idiot?
Well, I thought we already came to that conclusion. PC gamers don't know what 4K is.
Yeah, sure.
I was told that on Twitter today by a console dude. I don't know.
The PC gamers don't know what 4K is? That's amazing. My 4K.
Because he experienced 4K on the Xbox One X.
I see. My 4K monitor.
I was wrong about 4K too, even though I have a 4K monitor right here.
My 4K monitor isn't actually 4K, in case anybody wanted to know. It says 4K.
Yeah, I know. It says 4K. It outputs to 4K. But he says, I don't know. Because most PC gamers play at 1080p.
You want to know something
funny? Because we have weak PCs.
I see.
Your 4K monitor.
I'm told, because we play at 1080p, we have weak PCs.
It's UHD.
It's a 1080p display.
Yeah, it's not 4K. It's UHD. So speaking of,
hey, there's a 200 pixel difference, or 140 pixel difference.
So
there's a lot more than that.
Speaking of fun tech stuff, so CES was this past week, and there's a few tech gizmos and stuff. Kev is going to go on about the Asus ROG monitor that's been out for a year.
Wait for Vega 7. Wait for it. Wait for Vega 7.
I gotta think Vega 7. As much as the internet shit on it, I don't get why.
No, the thing
it's fine.
It's a good like flagship grade graphics card. I mean, right. No, the part that I love was the CEO NVIDIA getting salty as fuck about it. That was great.
Right. It's all kinds of shade. It's like, okay, it's on par with the 2080. He
went just short of more or less saying the CEO of AMD didn't know what she was talking about because she was a woman. You could tell that was on the tip of his tongue. That was like literally like he was like, she must be confused or something like that. I was like,
let's be real though. Let's be real though. If he said that, these NVIDIA fanboys are so rampant that I don't think this like hurt them at all if he would have said that.
AMD fanboys are just as rampant.
Yeah, you don't have any kind of fanatic as a fanatic.
The numbers say otherwise.
I'm just saying, like I see AMD fanboys everywhere.
I seldom see them because, at least as far as the numbers go, they barely exist. The AMD users barely exist.
So you gotta realize, yeah, maybe they
fanatics.
Well, no, you said the thing is that here's the thing is that I notice is that AMD people that own AMD products have a higher propensity of being fanatical about it. Whereas, like, so say for example, you have NVIDIA has 70% of the market share of graphics cards over AMD,
which is kind of factual. They're like 70-80%.
Yeah, and 1% of their users are fanatics, whereas AMD has has 30% of the market. You know, maybe a little bit less because there are maybe some other random graphics cards I don't know about out there. But say 30% of the market and 3% of their user base is fanatics. There are still more NVIDIA fanatics out there, but there's a higher percentage of AMD fanatics. And whenever I go to a lot of PCMR stuff, a lot of those people are AMD fanatics. And I hear them all the time, like the new AMD CPUs got put out, and then I see a whole bunch of posts on Facebook or on Reddit talking about how this is going to be the second coming of AMD. By the way, I know that sounds really familiar because that happens every year. Yes, that happens every year.
Great. It's kind of like an Intel fanboy right now, sir.
Yeah. No, I just don't give a shit. And
that's where I'm at. Like right now, Intel and NVIDIA they have to earn my money.
Yeah.
Like AMD, I'm like, they offer great products for the price. I'm very impressed with Ryzen. If they keep up with this direction, when I'm done with this i5, I will probably go get Ryzen 7, whatever's out at that point, maybe Ryzen 9. I like what I saw with the Radeon 7. And this is my problem where I was talking about the NVIDIA fanboy. I don't feel AMD needs to compete with whatever the high-end TI card is, and that's what I keep hearing from the AMD from the NVIDIA fanboys is they're always a step behind. They're always 2 years behind.
No.
Great. Great. Thanks for coming out with 2016 technology.
Well, no. Here's my thing.
But then they're still selling it in 2080. And that's okay.
This is my thing is that so the first thing is this happens every time AMD has a press conference showing off their cards. And the thing is they show a bunch of benchmarks saying that, it's outperforming the Vega 64 by X amount in these things or whatever. And I'm like, you guys got to realize those are not third-party independently test results there. Those are publicity-generating test results. We are cherry-picking
games that run good on our shit. Don't trust AMD, Nvidia, or Intel when they show you.
Any of them. Yeah, those are that's why you see Cinebench always shown for like AMD stuff, is because AMD can get good results out of Cinebench with custom benchmarks. It's like they always show Cinebench because of that. And I'm like, that doesn't necessarily prove anything. And I am of the suspicion
AMD runs off Cinebench.
Yeah. I am of the opinion.
They only tested in DX12.
Yeah. No, they'll always show Vulkan too. You'll notice that they'll say, "Look how good this runs in Vulkan," because Nvidia doesn't have Vulkan. Of course, it's going to look better.
Nvidia has Vulkan. It doesn't.
Oh, do they know?
Yeah. You can use Vulkan on Nvidia. It's just an alternative to DirectX.
Yeah.
And
Vulkan is open source though, and AMD open sourced it so Nvidia can make use of it.
Yeah.
Because AMD aren't necessarily assholes in that way as far as technology goes.
I think they're assholes in other ways. Trust me.
Oh, they're assholes in other ways.
Yeah.
In many ways.
No, so my thing is though is that whenever I see a lot of these, everybody gets up in arms of how much how better it's going to be. I'm like, it's going to be a $700 GPU. It's going to perform on par with the RTX 2080. Not the TI, just the 2080. That's a good flagship card. The majority of your enthusiasts are going to be at that level. Very few people are going to be buying the $1,200 2080 Ti, or what is it, like a $2,000 RTX Titan? Was it like $2,000 or something like that?
As of the Titan V, Titans were no longer enthusiast cards. They are what was the term I came up with? People who are getting into hobbyist AI.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's prosumer AI. They can game pretty well, but they are no longer enthusiast gamer cards. They're a step beyond that. They're they're hobbyist AI cards.
They're meant to bridge the gap into the Tesla cards.
Remember when the Titans first came out?
Tesla
they weren't gaming
not the Quadro cards.
Gaming cards either then.
Yeah,
but gamers bought them because they're like, oh well, it can game really.
It's a Titan.
Yeah,
it's like it's a Titan. It's the best card on the market. So of course I'm going to buy it to game on. And then they got mad because the 780 Ti came out and it wasn't that much off. And that's what's been happening over the years. I'm glad they finally did this because it's insane for gamers to go out buying Titans. I've never thought that was a reasonable idea.
The Titan was never never intended to be a gamer card. Because here's the thing: is the original Titan.
The entire series was never meant to be.
No, the Titan, the original Titan. You know why it got named the Titan? Because Nvidia's entire stock was bought out for the Titan supercomputer. Mm-hmm. Their entire chip stock, first run chip stock was bought out entirely. So they, they had to run entirely lower level chipsets, and it was not going to be named the Titan. But when they finally released it, half a generation later, when they finally rebuilt their stockpile of it, there's like, all right, well, it's gotten so much, the popularity from it is from the Titan supercomputer. We're going to name it the Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So aside from the AMD versus NVIDIA nonsense, did you guys see any other tech stuff that you thought was interesting outside of
While we're on the topic of NVIDIA and AMD,
that monitor that you can roll up and take with you.
G-Sync for all. That to me was actually probably the most exciting thing I saw at CES.
Yeah,
like I talked about my 4K monitor. My 4K monitor is FreeSync.
Yeah.
And I stopped using because I got tired of the screen tear. And I love gaming 4K. I like 144 hertz too. I went back to my G-Sync monitor, but I went back for G-Sync, not for 144.
Well, here's the thing: is I was looking into it. Apparently, there is a way to enable NVIDIA cards to use any FreeSync whatsoever, but it runs like shit if it is not one of their approved G-Sync compatible monitors, the 12 that they have on the list so far. Because I look at a demo of it, and the ones that are not approved compatible run like shit.
I saw somebody, I think it was Linus, I think it was Linus, who actually ran them, and they said, they're fine. The only ones that it was, again, NVIDIA cherry picking. Hey, here's some really bad ones to show you how bad it is. You should
good point. They were cherry picking.
Yeah.
So that's my understanding.
That also brings me to another point I forgot. I did follow up on that. AMD cards have the same trouble with a lot of those too. The ones that they showcased on how bad they were with blanking and other
bad AMD
on AMD, they were doing the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you can't really throw shade at FreeSync for that. No, that's just the monitor.
Yep.
But that's something that it's the same thing I was thinking with the Steam controller. The Steam controller is syncs with its dedicated dongle with a Bluetooth-like profile, but is not actually Bluetooth. It's got all the hardware for Bluetooth. It's got all the minimum specs for Bluetooth, but they're not using Bluetooth. 2 years after the release of Steam controller, hey, by the way, there's a firmware update that allows your Steam controller to sync with Bluetooth. Like, yeah, I knew it, bitch. Why the fuck didn't you do this to start? And now NVIDIA is doing the same shit with FreeSync. Like, oh yeah, we could have used FreeSync the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, basically. And it's like we all knew they could do it.
Yeah.
It's just NVIDIA being NVIDIA.
Now we're just saying it's about fucking time.
No, now I'm saying it's just about fucking money. I think NVIDIA was doing this for some good publicity, especially after the release of the 2000 series not getting the reception that they I think expected. You know, there was a lot of blowback from PC gamers who said this is too fucking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And
the biggest problem that shot them in the foot was nameology. They had such a consistent series nameology going on for them. Like the 80 series was their flagship, and when their pricing was somewhat appropriate to the tier shift, because the 2080 became a TI, the 80 became the 80 Ti, effectively, or you know what I mean, right?
Right. I mean, that's how the video always was.
They shifted their tiers, and people saw it was a little bit of a price hike. Yes, it was more expensive, but everybody saw the 80 series is now twice the price. Well, the 80 series is replacing the 80 Ti.
Well, no, it's not twice the price. It was maybe
a couple $100 more.
It was $700. That was the same prices as 80 series always launches. It was the Ti. Usually what happens is they release the 80 series at like $650, $700, and then usually like 6 months later or something like that, they do a price drop it down to like $550, $600, and then introduce the Ti, the 80 Ti at that $750. Yeah, at $750, like $750. In this case, they released both of them side by side. The 80 series was $700, and the 80 Ti was $1,200. Like ridiculous amount higher.
Right now, and I love that they released the Ti at the same time. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's what they should have done. I wish they would just release the whole line at once.
Mm-hmm.
But my beef came with the $1,200 Ti. Realistically, I don't think any graphics card should cost more than, I'm going to say, $800. Realistically, I'm not going to...
Gaming graphics card.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
The MSRP of the GTX 1080 was $599.
I know, and I said no game.
Not $700. It was $600.
Right,
and the Founders Edition the Founders Edition was $699.
Yeah, I still stand by
that. That's what I was talking about. That the Founders Edition is usually the flagship where they introduce it.
Yeah, the flagship is where they introduce it, and then you get the aftermath where they actually make them good.
Yeah, exactly.
with the good cooling.
Make them good.
So, but it's like, I think 800, like for me, and you guys might feel differently, I feel like 800 is that barrier, that breaking point. I don't want to see you go fast. So that to me, if you're going to talk about the highest end card, is the sweet spot. Just like I don't think a TI card should cost more than $250.
I mean, personally, if they were to say come back with the 90 series, which they haven't had since the 600.
690.
Yeah, 690 was the last one. If they were to come out with a say a 2090 and that cost $1,200, you know what? I would be okay with that, because that is essentially two 80 series graphics card on one board. I could see that having a higher price tag. Otherwise,
but even AMD, like what was it? A couple of generations later, because AMD tried to push the dual processor cards for a while longer, but the last one they did was the 7990. No. It was the Pro Duo, which was the predecessor of Vega. What was that one? I can't remember right now. I'm blanking.
I know. Yeah, Fury.
It was a dual Fury.
Yeah,
and
but
that was the last attempt at that, and they're like, you know what? And it had so many problems with the HBM on a dual processor that they abandoned that idea.
That's not the only thing. Is that it was advertising to a wrong group. The Pro Duo was not a consumer gaming graphics card. It was an enterprise. It was an enterprise workstation card.
Because it was a Fire Pro.
Yeah, it was it was in the Fire Pro line, but it was just called Pro Duo, and I believe they still release those, but they have them marketed to in the competition with NVIDIA Tesla, as opposed to the Pro Duo was in competition with the NVIDIA Quadro line, right? So
they changed direction on there. Instead of doing a dual processor card, now they have a processor with a M2 slot built into it.
Gotcha.
So they can accelerate the or expand the built-in memory.
Mm-hmm. But no,
I'm wondering if the reason they stopped doing that, and that could be completely off base. I have no idea. I'm not sure how this technology works. Will this have this like kind of be the same reasoning why you don't really see a lot of Crossfire and SLI anymore? Because you're having the two graphics chips, and it's hard to make them work with. I guess
there's micro stuttering issues, but on top of that, you have cooling issues because you have to. That's the thing is having two different cards in Crossfire and SLI. You have double the cooling on there, whereas a dual chip single card, you only have like 30% more cooling to fit in so much space. So they had a lot of trouble cooling those, and none of them, as far as I know, had built, from the factory built-in liquid cooling.
No,
and that was what I was going to suggest. Like you almost have to do liquid cooling.
I mean, you could get EK blocks with them, but that's that.
Well, the Pro Duo had some severe cutbacks to deal with heat. They chopped down its processing power a lot to deal with the overheating on there because HBM2 on die produces so much more heat.
Yeah. But, to kind of swing things back to CES though, NightRose, what are some highlights that you had with CES?
Well, they've got this isn't really new tech, but it sounds like they're really starting to expand on it, but it's the body-powered watches.
Mm-hmm. Gyroscopic. I know I saw a solar-powered smartwatch.
It's solar-powered, and then they've also got it so that it generates power from the heat from the user's skin.
Interesting.
So you never really have to charge it.
It's gyro and thermocouple.
Yeah.
I definitely would say that would be super nice, because
nice.
The Matrix Power Watch 2 is the one that they really featured in the Guardian article that I was reading about the CES stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's CES article, so it's not that bad, but
yeah, like you can't really screw that up. And I did look into it a little bit more, but they're selling it through the crowdfunding site Indiegogo for about $200 to $400.
That's about.
And they're expected to ship in about 6 months in June. Then there was another one, intelligent toilets. Like, what the hell? Who needs a fucking smart toilet?
That's a toilet that you have to destroy.
What does it do, though? In what way is it intelligent?
I have no idea how it's intelligent. Is it going to wipe my ass for me?
I think of that episode of Futurama where they're trashing the smart toilet. So but what did I do wrong? I give you happy poopy time. And they're like, Pride's like, you know too much.
So the question of a smart toilet then is that in what way is it going to be tracking you? Because, just throwing that out there.
All the ways. All the wrong ways. I think my most interesting one was the most easily stealable monitor, or was it a TV? LG's roll-up monitor.
Yeah, so I actually have that down here. Zoop. Yeah, the LG OLED TV R. And essentially, if you see the picture on the podcast on here, essentially you have like this little box platform that, you know, would sit on your entertainment center or sit on wherever it's at, and the TV literally rolls up out of that above it. And then when you're done with it, you click it and it kind of rolls down like a blind, only in reverse.
Like the idea of a projector without all the shittiness of a projector.
Yeah, it's kind of like a projector in reverse. Instead of rolling up to a mount on the ceiling, this rolls down into a box sitting on your entertainment
What I mean is you don't have like everybody's familiar with the washout shittiness of a projector, even the best and the brightest of the projectors out there. Unless you have an actual theater-style setup and all the proper lighting and reflectiveness, et cetera, and even then you can still see some of the quality issues in the theater.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you know, it gives you that projector style environment of closing things down and, hey, you've got a wall now. And instead it's got your LED backlighting.
Well, one thing though...
LED imaging.
Yeah, the thing that I enjoy about it is that there is this push nowadays. People don't want the big giant TV on their wall or whatever anymore because it's seen as it's unsightly. So they would prefer, you know, when they're not using the TV for it to disappear. The one concern that I have with that guy is that the module box that the TV rolls up into is actually the 100-watt soundbar as well, that's good. That's not the 100-watt soundbar isn't a bad thing. That sounds pretty badass. The concern I have is that that's a 100-watt speaker bar. In other words, giant driver magnets that are going to be in close proximity to the screen. I don't know if that would have any negative impact to the screen over time.
On a liquid crystal, yes, they actually would. But since it's OLED, I don't think so.
Oh,
because you know the OLEDs magnets have little to no impact on LED imaging as opposed to liquid crystal imaging, and worse yet, cathode ray imaging, where magnets will fuck those up with a quickness.
Well, sort of. I mean, you do have to. Yeah, you're right. Magnets do fuck them up because you have to degauss them on a regular basis.
Let me put it this way: magnets in the wild will fuck up a cathode ray. Obviously, magnets with specific design can be helpful, and of course, those are electromagnets, so they're not constantly powered. You're degaussing on a old cathode ray monitor.
Yeah, exactly. So, did anybody happen to see the gems, the gate enhancing, the gate enhancing motivational system?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is I had the old school version, which I'm not going to dig up because I had a coffee spill incident the last time I tried to show it off on the podcast. But I have the old school version in here with its, 15-inch screen or 14-inch screen, 720p, you know, all of its glory of 10 years ago.
Wait,
who? Back when 720p?
The games case.
Oh, hold on. I'm just to make sure. When I was talking about gems, I was talking about it's the little robot leg thing.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the games case, GAEMS.
No, this is I said gems, gate enhancing motivational system. It's Samsung's concept
that one.
assistive wearable. And essentially it's a lower body exoskeleton that it weighs about 5 pounds. It's light enough to where you can comfortably wear it and it's not that obtrusive. I wouldn't necessarily call it attractive like some might say, but the power assist lets you walk with 23% less effort and almost 20% faster. Or you can set it for resistance mode, which I'm assuming does the opposite, makes it harder to walk and makes it slower to walk, but that's designed to help with rehabilitation, you know, essentially help you with strength training or workout or that sort of thing. This is the first time we've actually seen a consumer marketable exoskeleton design.
Yeah, everything has been like military R&D that I've seen prior to this. So yeah, as you said, this is the first consumer grade one.
I think we've missed the most important question here.
Mm-hmm.
How much and when can I get one?
Oh, it's gonna be expensive as shit. You know it is. This is gonna be.
You're telling me I can have robot legs?
Yeah.
Get robot legs. It's a pretty risky operation, but
the Chung Lee kick the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah, I'm all I'm saying.
Stand-ups, like I'm going to get some robot legs. It's a pretty risky operation. Well, I think it was a stand-up. Maybe it was in a movie.
All I'm saying is that I'm going to guess these are going to be in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, probably for these first models. You always pay for that R&D for the first gen models.
Oh yeah.
And the first gen models don't work right. They're not going to be the ones Chun-Li kicking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wait about 4 or 5 years, then they'll be about $250 at Best Buy.
Yeah, you imagine
your Chun-Li
you imagine seeing that 500-pound guy running down the street at 20 miles an hour without. I mean, you're just like, what the fuck am I watching there? Like, how is he moving that fast? Is there a cheeseburger in front of him?
Oh, it's gonna be more than cheeseburger.
And you realize.
Lose weight today,
boy. Now you all are just seeing this like really giant dude, like huge dude, just like boom, like Bionic Man down the road and shit.
And you make this point and we talk about it, but think about it, like as a big dude, think about it. Like as you get bigger, it's harder to work out, it's harder to exercise. If we can use these exoskeletons to assist the people that maybe want to lose their weight, that want to work out, but maybe have some kind of physical debilitation to where they can't.
Yeah, that's true.
That's huge.
Well, essentially, what the way that the person when I watched a video on it, the thing is whenever I watched a video on it, essentially the guy described the resistance mode as kind of like walking underwater. Right, it's not quite
pretty. Honestly, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's essentially it makes it so you've got the assistive mode where it more or less boosts your walking. The resistive mode makes it harder to walk, and it's kind of like you're trying to walk underwater.
What I'm saying is like comparing it to walking underwater versus like comparing it to, the I can't remember the name of this machine.
We have the technology.
The weight machine where you're trying to lift with your legs as opposed to having uncomfortable pressure on certain points.
Yeah. I imagine it's probably not as even as water.
Yeah, I don't think it's as smooth as that, but if it is that close enough to be referenced like that, that's actually pretty impressive, I think.
Well, and when
pressure distribution.
Well, and when Kev is talking about like people that might not be able to have the physical capability to work out as well as other people can, having something where you just go on a walk. You just go on a 30-minute walk. Right now, if you go on a 30-minute walk and you're walking at a casual pace, you ain't really doing shit. Right? It's not really doing anything for you health-wise.
You gotta power walk that shit.
You have to walk really fast. Well, this, you could walk at a normal casual pace, but your ass is gonna be sweating when you get home. Right? You're gonna be fucking sore as shit in the morning. And that kind of thing, that is actually kind of nice. That would be a great and there was another one in here. I don't know if I have it on my list on here. But going along with that, there was another smart workout. Yeah, there it is. The Jax Jocks smart kettlebell, which is essentially a kettlebell weight that can adjust its weight on the fly based upon your workout routine.
Well, I mean, it reminds me kind of like the idea when I was in high school. I played basketball. I ran track, and I ran around with ankle weights on for 6 months out of the year because of it.
Yep.
Because I wanted to keep my legs strong. I wanted to keep being able to jump high. That was kind of my shtick. I was a shot blocker. So I ran with ankle weights on.
Yep.
And it just made my legs strong. And I think about that could be the same kind of workout as that was.
Yeah.
With the exoskeleton.
Well, yeah, and if you pair that, like I said, with the smart kettlebell, sorry, kettlebell, just as I know that's what it's called, but I don't know, the name just sounds so funny to me. But the thing is
like
that
a kettle.
It looks like a kettle, and that's what they're actually called. If you go into any gym, you'll find kettlebells of various weights. This one it's a one kettlebell does it all because it can adjust its weight on the fly. If you've got your gems on to give you that resistive leg workout. With your little smart kettlebell, that takes up virtually no room, and you've got damn near a whole gym worth of weight training capabilities which will of course cost you an arm and a leg, because I guarantee you none of this shit's going to be cheap for a while yet. But you have a whole gym's worth of workout equipment, like that the gems guy, if that does all around resistance, you could effectively do stuff like, say, I don't know if squats would have the same effect on there, but like just doing any kind of like traditional leg bending workouts that you might do for aerobics or something is going to be so much more impactful. And then you have a kettlebell, which that just essentially allows you to do weight training without having to have a whole bunch of weights.
I'm still looking at that kettlebell, trying to figure out how the hell it's going to adjust weight.
Yeah, that's the part I'm not sure of, and I wasn't able to find out. But it's a little confusing to me because I'm not sure exactly what it does.
I don't think it can adjust weight while you're holding it. I think it's it's probably like a Russian nesting doll thing where you have modular components that you can drop in and out of it. It's got to be the case because you can't fuck with the laws of physics like that.
Hey, Xaiphen, shh.
Do what I want.
Mass Effect fields. Shh. Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. It's Mass Effect fields.
Element 0 answers everything. We have no more description for you.
There's no
it's like
don't
Heisenberg compensator. We have a name, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, don't ask questions. It's Mass Effect fields. How do you do this? Mass Effect fields. That's the answer.
Element 0.
Do what I want.
Magic.
it's space magic.
It's science.
Yes.
Science.
Yeah, you apply a negative charge to it and it reduces the mass. How? Don't ask questions.
Magic.
How does it do it? Fuck you, that's how.
So
It doesn't, motherfucker.
Another one I did want to talk about, and this is something kind of up Xaiphen's alley, because I figured he would have something. He did have something to add to this on here. So Alienware's Area 51M, it's a kind of a effortless upgrading the CPU, GPU, RAM, hard drive, pretty much everything inside the chassis. That's a rare option for laptops, and usually that was only in the business line, from what I understand. Or is that correct?
No. Here's something I want to clarify here. Like, now there are some laptops that have solder-on CPUs,
yes,
which that's no upgradability, but a majority of them out there have pin grid CPUs, like anything that's medium grade and up, has pin grid CPUs, which is, it's replaceable. You can upgrade, like say my laptop, I can upgrade from the i5 to an i7 on there from the same generation only, because I can't upgrade the motherboard. Yeah. Now, if this one does not give you like the next generation of motherboards, out by Intel, if they do not offer you the same cutout motherboard or to swap from AMD to Intel, that sort of thing, then the actual upgradability is not going to be there. It's just going to be easy to take apart, but still with the same limits of upgradability that you have currently. And, it's just easier to take it apart. That's what I'm seeing right here, is they have it easier to disassemble and reassemble, but it's not really any more upgradable than any other laptop. But that will be confirmed or not, or confirmed or denied the next generation of processors. When they put out a matching motherboard for that next generation, like, okay, now it's truly upgradable.
Yeah. The fun part about it, of course, is so that Kev has his beloved RGB. It does have this nice little, I think they call it the infinity loop backlighting, where the back of the laptop has like this oval like RGB lighting on it. Kev muted his microphone so he could scream like a little schoolgirl.
I didn't because I was typing. Because I'm like, Xaiphen, I'm not rude.
Yeah.
I'm clicking and typing when I'm on Twitter.
But yeah, then the so something else that I thought was interesting on there too, and now I want to see a demonstration of this, because this is apparently something you really have to hear to believe. But yeah, Sennheiser has this Ambio soundbar, which the main draw of this is it's not just a soundbar like you would get for your normal TV or your 5.1. You can do that with it, but the idea of it really is focused on trying to simulate 3D surround sound. And the idea is mostly focused towards augmented reality and virtual reality systems. And I'm like, do you think that's going to be the next kind of craze in audio devices instead of getting
sound cards?
Well, no, that nobody buys sound cards anymore.
Yeah, but they keep releasing them. They started releasing them again.
Did they really?
Well, Creative Labs came out with one about 3 to 6 months ago, and they showed another one. Creative Labs said they stopped for a while, and I hadn't seen anything for a while from them. Now they got like this cool looking RGB sound card.
Wait, it's RGB.
Go figure. It's Kev. Go figure.
Well, why not?
I didn't say I was buying.
Because why not?
It's not Razer, so he only buys the RGB from Razer.
That's not true.
I mean,
I know it's not true, Cap. I'm messing with you.
That's not true. I was looking at Logitech RGB yesterday, actually.
I've never been a fan of these sound bars, or even. I feel like this is an extension on the surround sound headphones, where you've still got only 2 speakers giving you fake surround sound. I think Bose did those, or still does. Crappy surround sound. I feel like this is going to be like that, because it looks like from the picture they've got all the speakers in front. What they're probably going to do is the outer ones are going to be your rear, the inner ones are going to be your subwoofer and your center speakers, and then the smaller, like the ones just outside in between the outer and.
So as you look at the picture of it, you see a whole bunch of little circles on the front of it. Those are probably mid-range, possibly with tweeters inside of the mid-range, like a 2-way speaker.
Yeah.
The subwoofer is most certainly pointed towards the wall or towards the ground. You can't actually see that. And the thing is, I think that it's using a similar concept to how Dolby Atmos works, where it's essentially angling the sound waves in such a way to where it throws certain sound waves at different distances. If anybody hasn't seen a demo of how Atmos works, it's fascinating the way that they play with the audio waves for those. Obviously, it's very easy for in theaters because you have like 20 fucking speakers on every goddamn surface of those theaters. But the in-home versions of Dolby Atmos are actually just they're just speakers that are like mounted on little posts that are pointed up at the ceiling, and it's just the way that it plays with the sound waves and angles them. It creates that spatial effect. And I kind of think that's what they're trying here, but I really would need to see a demonstration to see if that actually works, because I agree with you. It's tough when you have all the speakers just pointed straight at you.
And the other problem is that I can only see that working for certain sized rooms, because you can't do that with a huge room and get the same effect as if it was designed for like a 20 by 20 room designed in mind, and you throw it in like a 30 by 20 room or some random other dimension. So
the thing is that also to play devil's advocate here, that could be calibrated. There's actually that's not terribly difficult. You just need to have a microphone also on it so that it could throw out sound and listen to that sound coming back, and then it would just kind of use a sonar type effect to size up the room, so to speak.
Which
I've heard that technology, like I've heard of it, but I've heard it's kind of sketchy too.
It depends on your system. Like I've seen some cases where doesn't work so well, but as long as you actually do it the correct way, it actually isn't too bad at it. It just depends on who's doing it. So
I posted a link to that RGB sound card, by the way.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the link I posted in chat a few minutes ago.
But yeah, so then another one. Well, there was my little smart clock that I'm excited about. Yes, I'm excited about a damn smart clock because I'm looking for a good smart clock. That fits into the
smartphone. Your smartphone does everything.
No. So the smart clock, it connects into the Google Home system. It's the Lenovo smart clock. For a while, I was using an old tablet I had. I had the EVGA. What the fuck was it called? Tegra Note.
Tablets?
Yeah, Tegra Note 7 that I had from like 20,000 years ago. It was the first gen NVIDIA. Yeah, it was the first gen NVIDIA tablet that they came out with. It's ancient at this point. The point is that the main problem I had with it, it was an old school LCD screen, so you couldn't really leave a clock up there because it would just light up the room even if the screen was black, right? Because it's just like a normal LCD screen. I wanted a clock, like a smart type clock that is that it has an AMOLED screen. And so that way it can have just the numbers up on there and the whole rest of the screen is black. My phone, I can do that with my phone, but that's just silly to me. That annoys me a little bit when I've been doing. But so this kind of interests me a little bit. And that's why I'm like, smart clocks. It's about time that we actually got a good looking smart clock, I guess I would say.
So my question is, what does a smart clock do that you can't do on your phone?
So it's essentially, have you seen the Amazon Echo Spot? It's not actually it's not a smartphone. It's not a full like tablet experience. It's essentially a primarily voice controlled with some touchscreen augmentation to the control of it. But it's essentially like your smart speaker, smart home devices.
I don't buy the smart speaker. The smart speaker idea.
Gotta try it out, man.
Actually, when we were talking about me leaving the job I left in the summer, they had one over there for us, so we listened to the radio on it. But I'm like,
well, there's a few things like so. I've got a few Google Home minis. Like we didn't even get the full Google Homes ones because didn't seem like there's much point to it for a lot of what we do, but.
Right, see, that I feel that about a lot of like this assistant technology anyway. Like I like the Google or the smart security stuff. That stuff's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so you like for your thermostat and your lights, all that stuff is really cool. I'm eventually going to set up Philips Hue lights around my house because I really like those.
Yep.
But I don't see.
So here would be an interesting example of a way that smart clock could be of use to you. Say you have, I'm pretty certain Ring video doorbells work this way. I'm pretty certain they integrate with Google Assistant. Say you have a Ring video doorbell. Someone rings your doorbell. They're going to deliver a package or something like that. And you get notified on your smart clock and you can say, hey, show me my video doorbell. And then it will pop up on the screen, replace the clock with an actual video feed of your front door in your bedroom. And you can see who's at your door and say, I'm not getting out of bed. That's just some douchebag that I don't want to talk to. Or, oh shit, my in-laws are here.
The Mormons from waking me up.
Yeah. Although
they waking me up low-key every weekend.
Yep. But no, the thing is too, is you could actually have it pop up and notify you on the smart clock if someone just triggers the motion sensor of your video doorbell. Say you're expecting a package, and you could have a trigger on the proximity sensor and look and say, oh, a package got delivered. So that way they don't drop the package, run, and then someone comes up and snatches it from you.
Yeah.
That would be great if I didn't live in an apartment.
Yeah, that's true.
You know how much that would get triggered?
That is a fact. So then but the final technology I did want to talk about on here, Samsung to me, just pulling out all the stops on here. The Samsung Bot Care. It's what, Xaiphen?
You know what? No. Just no. No.
That ain't it, Chief.
I don't trust robots that much.
So
hey, submit to our AI overlord.
We all play Mass Effect. Do you understand what will happen when we let the robots take over? Do you want to have the Geth on our planets? Do you want to have the Geth take over Earth?
I don't know.
The Geth wouldn't have been such assholes if they hadn't killed, or if the Quarrens hadn't done their shit.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think the Geths were assholes. The Geths were defending themselves because they didn't understand why they were being murdered. They were like, "Do I have a soul? Oh my god, they have a soul! Kill them!"
That seems to be like the common trope of all like AI rising against humanity and trying to wipe us out. Is that we get scared and try to kill them first, and then they fight back.
Yeah.
With one of the few exceptions to that is like the movie I, Robot, where the AI just sees humanity as a threat to themselves.
Yeah. Well,
does this unit have a soul?
See, the plucky personal or the Samsung personal assistant can monitor you sleep, take your vitals, and assist the elderly if they take a fall by alerting next of kin or contacting emergency services. For downtime, BotCare can play videos to keep the kids entertained and even be beckoned with gestures to give you a daily briefing.
But can it test my blood sugar?
Give it some time. Actually, I think there were some. There was this CES. I definitely saw a lot of health wearables as being a trend. Like I saw an upgrade to there's actually it's not a smartwatch as far as I could tell. It's just a heart pressure monitor for someone that say has traditional high blood pressure, which to anybody listening, that's not the same as the heart rate monitor or the ECG that you might find on your Apple smartwatch or what have you. An actual blood pressure test is far more specific for another type of issue. And the thing is that that's not really something that you've seen a lot of wearables on, which is kind of nice. They also have a few other health wearables that I noticed that I wasn't interested in because they don't necessarily affect me personally.
You mentioned of blood sugar, and I don't know if this was something that was showcased at CES, but my fiance is a nurse, and there was something that she became aware of that replaces AccuChecks. It's a consistent feed system instead of having to do like 8 finger pricks a day. You just more or less leave yourself plugged in. And she's like, "This is awesome."
It's a little belt pouch. Yeah, it's
8 finger pricks a day.
My mom uses one. My mom's a diabetic. She uses one. She has it just plugged into her arm.
Yeah, it's like a little
smartphone device.
Yeah, isn't it like a little? It's
continuous glucose monitor is the term.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one on my pump, which. Like, this is what's nice because pump technology's come a long way now, but like my pump uses a CGM and it tracks the trends and will automatically adjust my basal. So if I'm going low, it'll kick me out of any insulin delivery. And if I'm going high, it ramps it up for a little bit. But like, I want.
Did we lose Rose?
No, she's there.
No,
thinking.
It's good technology to have, and I mean, it's changed my quality of life immensely. I've gone from 4 to 6 finger sticks a day to about 2, and my A1C's gone from 11 to 7 in about 6 months. So my quality of life has changed. Now, I'd like to see more expand on this stuff and make especially type 1 diabetics quality of life even better. But I never see that stuff. It's always the companies that take the technology from CES, take it for a couple years, and then figure something out and then release it to us.
Mm-hmm. They also only worry about the type 2s.
Yeah.
You never hear much anything about a type 1.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what you see, isn't it? Not a lot of people. Mm-hmm.
In our sugar-driven economics,
big sugar. Big sugar is actually a thing. Believe it or not, guys. I say that joking, like I've said that jokingly before. I should say big chocolate, but big sugar in general is actually.
My grandma used to tell me to give her big sugar.
Big sugar is definitely a thing.
It is. They actually.
I'm not one for conspiracy theories. I fucking hate them. But big sugar is a fucking thing.
Well, no, like back in I want to say it was the 50s. I think it was the 50s. Big Sugar actually manipulated a lot of scientific studies to demonstrate that obesity and stuff like that was caused by the fat content in your food and not the sugar content. They actively suppressed any studies that showed that sugar was linked to obesity or weight gain. So yes, 100%, very much, big sugar is a thing. There's a reason why everybody thinks that when you eat fat, you get fat, which there is actually no conclusive evidence showing that. Now, you eat fat, you can't get cholesterol. That's another thing.
It'll stop your heart, but it's not going to make you gain weight.
Yeah. Sugar, on the other hand, sugar can lead to a backup of fast-use carbs in your system, which your body will then store as fat. So, yeah. That's the thing, is that now we understand nutrition a bit better but back then they actively suppressed any sort of studies or scientific evidence showing that.
The thing is that the bulk of the studies are still not on that. A lot of what you're getting is the bodybuilders.
Yep.
These are where we're getting our information is people who, independently excessively study that because they want a specific body look and they need to nitpick all of this shit. Yep. And that's becoming publicized.
Well, I think a lot of it's changed very recently with the study into ketogenics. And that's that, which, by the way, I'm not saying that anybody should go on a keto diet. I'm just saying that it is an interesting look at how the body works. Because essentially, ketogenesis, if I said that right, ketosis is actually the means of switching your body from consuming carbs as its primary energy source to consuming fats as its primary energy source, which is not always pleasurable to go through. Ketosis can cause flu-like symptoms, as a matter of fact. But it
sucks.
But the thing is, though, is that it actually, whereas a lot of the diets you hear about are just complete garbage, like nonsense that are just used to make money, ketogenic actually does do something. The problem is it's hard as hell to maintain because of how prevalent carbs are in the diet. So I kind of went sidetracked on there. But in any case, though,
left us. He's like, "Fuck this shit, bye."
Kev just like walked away. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because this is so odd to see at CES. So Daimler, fuck, I can't say that word. Daimler trucks.
Daimler.
That's the one. Daimler trucks.
Yes, it's got the Spanish pronunciation. The AI is I.
Yeah, sure. Daimler trucks actually showed off their semi-autonomous semis. Semi-autonomous semis. Jeez, that
not to be confused with autonomous semis. It's a semi-autonomous semi.
Well, it is level 2 autonomous driving, which level 2 is currently the mainstay that you see nowadays with a lot of the car technology, where it has what they call adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, which more or less means you set a speed and it will measure your distance to cars in front of you, and it will slow down if the cars in front of you slow down, speed up if they speed back up to a threshold speed that you set. So if you say speed limit's 55, I want to set my cruise control at 55. Cool. Car in front of me starts slowing down, it will slow down, and then it will speed back up when the car in front speeds back up. Now, Tesla took that a step further. They released, what did he call it? It was he called it like it was something kind of silly.
There's autopilot.
No. It was a Mad Max update to the Tesla autopilot, which they had previously. They had the adaptive cruise control piece where it would slow down for the cars in front. But and I'm not kidding, Tesla actually called it their Mad Max update. If the car in front if you're on a freeway, your left lane is completely open, and it's measuring the cars that are around you, so it knows if there's anybody in the left lane. The car in front of you is going 10 miles under the speed limit. It will actually move into the left lane, past that car, and move back. And it's like, it is actually really, really crazy how it works. This one doesn't do that. That's not quite as crazy as this is. The new Freightliner, I think it's called the Cascadia, has just the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. So that more or less it will slow down when it detects cars in front of you are slowing down, and it will keep you swerving out of lanes, which for semi-drivers is amazing. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, as many asshole car drivers as I see on the road, the ones that you really worry about is an overworked, sleep-deprived truck driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, some of them are assholes anyway.
Well, I mean...
here's the thing is, like, there's so many laws to try and keep truck drivers in a healthy alertness, a healthy level of alertness, and they're under so much pressure to break those fucking laws.
Yeah.
Not directly, but to make their times and all that shit, to push harder and harder hours. And there's some cases where some of these drivers are not classified as a commercial driver.
Mm-hmm.
They're classified as salesmen, so they do not have those restrictions.
Yep.
But yeah, and of course, a lot of times they have people on work visas too that don't completely comprehend the laws, and they push them and underpay them, and a whole bunch of other shit like that too. It's a ridiculous thing. The sad part is as bad as as worrisome as a exhausted truck driver can be, I'm more worried about the fucking tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ever hang beside a semi.
Yeah, if they throw a retread, then yeah, that it just seems like it's a flappy piece of rubber. But at 60 plus miles an hour, a flappy piece of rubber can wreck you.
Well, the pressure that goes around there, especially heavy load ones, that's 120 psi on those tires. Granted, it's not the same level of destructive force, mostly due to different shrapnel, but it is damn near close to the force of a grenade exploding, and it can take your fucking dinky car out.
Yeah. But my thing is that that's
I drive an SUV.
The thing is that I know that Daimler they released this trying to get out in front of. I know Tesla had their concept that they've been trying to get, their semi concept they've been trying to get onto the market for a while now. And I think because the Cascadia is actually available, I think that they're actually putting it into production. So this is actually a first step in the right direction, because I think if this technology can get buy-in in all of the major commercial trucking industries, that's one step closer to getting all the roads driving autonomously, which means less jackasses I have to deal with when I'm stuck in rush hour traffic. Yes, if you're the person that refuses to do autonomous driving because you think it takes away your control, chances are you're the asshole that everybody else is talking about. Food for thought.
So mean.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, sitting over here wishing autonomous vehicles would just hurry the fuck up and get released so I don't have to get a driver's license.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to just chill in the back of the car and just fucking play games on my smartphone or something like that while I'm driving to work. That would be great.
That would be perfect opportunity for sleep on longer trips, honestly.
Yes.
Do like I do when I go to work. I drive my ass over to the park and ride. I get out of my car, get on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
I get on said bus, sit back with my phone, and play my games or watch my YouTube or watch Dragon Ball or whatever, and ride to work.
Yeah,
so I don't have to deal with Seattle traffic.
That's living and working in the metro area. Live and work in the metro area. Yeah, you can get away with that shit.
Yeah,
I do that. I work in downtown Seattle.
That's why I said when you live and work in the metro area, you can get away with that. When you don't, when you live in BFE, the closest city I have to me, which is a few miles away, is barely a city. It meets the minimum population requirements to be classified as a city. There is no fucking metro, or there's no public transit shit.
Yeah, the thing.
My cup didn't have broth in it right now. Cold broth. Yeah.
No, the thing is that where you run into issues is when you have municipality conflicts, like in my area where there's a state line involved, and I would love to take light rail around because that would be the best means of mass transit in my area. But unfortunately, I live in what I consider to be a suburb of a larger city, but that suburb happens to be a city in its own right that is across a state border. And that's where shit gets complicated, because trying to get any transit stuff done, you have to have agreements from one city authority, the state authority, the federal government, and then another city authority and another state authority. And that's that.
Yeah, there's some places have that worked out pretty well, but not all of them. Like, between like New Jersey, New York, they've got a pretty good handshake going on with that. And public transit across state borders is real fucking easy. But that's not everywhere in the country, and that's not everywhere in the the world for that matter. You're trying to go country to country in Europe, even if they're very friendly countries with each other. Yeah, it's still not so easy.
The thing is that
not always easy.
European train lines are actually pretty efficiently done for across country. Like, and that's international travel, right? You're traveling across international borders.
That's the sad part is, like, there are some holdups in Europe, but for the most part, their international travel is easier than interstate travel in this fucking country.
I know that it baffles me to no end. But in any case, those were largely my hot takes from CES. Was there any ones that you guys that we missed on here that you guys had thought about? I know Kev, you didn't really talk about your Razer monitor very much.
Oh, I just thought the Razer monitor was glorious because it looked good.
It looked like a Razer. Can I
like the cable management on it too? But as far as like the actual monitor itself.
Can I just point out that, Kev, that it looks like
1440p monitor, 27 inches with no G-Sync FreeSync, and
But can I just point out that it looks like the Razer version of an iMac?
No, you cannot point that out.
He just did.
Nobody likes that potato hardware. Actually, lots of people buy Xboxes and PlayStations. I guess they do like potato hardware. The Switch is doing really well too, so people like potato hardware.
Apparently so. So what about that Mad Box though, Kev?
What about it? We've had this discussion.
That's the problem with Mad Box is all of this is what about it? They're like, well, it could do VR or something. We're going to have a custom UI or operating system or both, or we don't know. We really have no information on this. We have like 3 or 4 different concept arts on what it might look like.
Well, let's talk about this because Mort was really trying hard to get me to look at the story this week.
No, it's just
Xaiphen agreed, saying that I understand the only reason I like consoles is because I like their exclusive libraries.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get into the whole argument about how console exclusivity, good, bad, should it be on PC? That's not what I'm getting into.
Because you lose that.
I'm just saying, I don't want to have that debate. The show is already running over. And literally, the only reason I care about a console is because of its exclusive library. Other than that, don't care.
Yeah.
Madbox has no games. Epic has no games. Xbox has no games. If you have no games, I do not care.
If Madbox does not do a good fucking launch, they will die out just like the Steam box or / Steam machine, just like the Andrema, just like a lot of consoles or half-assed consoles in days past. Some of them were great fucking ideas and had a lot of potential and just went.
And guess what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
If they launch well, it could be, at one point in time, like, yes, Microsoft, when they launched the Xbox, they had history with PCs, but as far as game consoles, people were like, what? Huh? PlayStation, nobody, Sony was a nobody as far as their own console at one point in time, and, look at how strong they're still going. Well, so it has potential. It may go somewhere with it. I highly doubt it.
But wait.
Sony's been dominant since the end of the console space.
But wait. There's more. Madbox is not actually the name of the console. In fact, they have a contest currently running that if you submit a name that ends up winning their contest for the name of the console, you get free games for life.
I got one. Trash Box. Box 2.
No, to me it looks like
Less games than Xbox.
It looks like a melted cheeseburger box. That's
well, that's one rendering. There's like 3 different concept arts for it out so far that I've seen.
Get me some games box. How about that?
Like, custom operating system, trying to be open to developers, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's great ideas. Make it work, and then I'll have some interest.
Uh-huh.
Like, right now, it's all talk, and I can't really see it past that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, who is this console marketed to? This is the same problem I have with the Steam machine. Who are you marketing this to? Like
developers and VR players. That's pretty much all they're saying so far. It's like, it can do VR. We're going to try and create an operating system that's developer friendly. That's really the only talking points they've got out so far.
I mean, the problem with marketing to VR players is there's still such a niche community right now. There are not a whole lot of. I mean, it's an expensive buy-in to even get the VR headset. Do I want VR? Yes, but I don't want to drop almost $1,000 just for VR. I could upgrade my PC for that price.
Beyond that, the VR market. So you're talking about upgrading your PC, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Well, the way you're putting this out there, those information is coming out, is like you're marketing it to a PC community who doesn't give a fuck about your console.
Yeah.
And then you have a console community. You don't have games. The console community does not give a fuck about your console. Like,
what's the thing is, like, the Steam machine, at least, like, they went underwhelming on, like, we've got a starting price of $500 or whatever, compete with consoles. This thing, they're like, it's going to be VR ready, high-end PC, like, range, like, okay, so you're going to open up with a price of $2,000. Like, I don't see.
Let's go back to this. Let's go back to the Steam box then, because the Steam machines have the same problem. They started at $500 for the bullshit model. That was too expensive for the console players. They didn't give a fuck. And then you had the PC players are like, so I can buy this new console. I can buy this console that's underpowered and I can't upgrade it. Or I can go out, and this was like 2014, 2015. I can go out and buy a 980 and put it in my PC.
Yeah.
And stream it over my in-home network with Steam in-home or the Steam Link.
This is upgradable as a laptop.
You can use a laptop too. Now they're doing it with Raspberry Pi. And it's the point, like, who are you marketing this shit to? Like, don't just make random shit because you can make it and think you're going to sell it because it's there. They tried that with the Xbox One. You saw what happened. They tried it with the Steam machines. You saw what happened. Like, you have to know who your target audience is, period, if you're going to put out anything.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about this podcast behind the scenes, the biggest thing I'm talking about is who is our target audience, and keep them in mind.
Our target audience is you. You are our target audience who's listening to this right now.
Right.
Whoever is willing to watch
and speaking of,
wait a minute. Are those 4 people all just us watching, or
is
there somebody else out there?
Yeah, no. If you
out there.
Yeah, no. There's quite a few, but they've been harassing Kev the whole podcast. I think that's our target audience is people that want to harass Kev. Which personally, you guys are all very close to my heart. And I feel a very strong kinship with you, and I would like to say that I said,
Shell time. If you're gonna harass me, go to my Twitch channel at Glorious Kev. Follow, and you can harass me every time I stream.
Do I remember what? Shit, I don't remember. That's just.
You didn't even update it.
No, that's the Twitter one on there, and that's not even right anymore.
Not Twitter, Twitch. My bad.
That's all right.
Anyway, I can't remember either.
Anyway, let's go ahead and start moving towards final thoughts, as we kind of have been as is. I've just been very subtle about it. Put on a little bit of smooth music underneath things, Final thoughts
is usually the problem with getting into final thoughts is not that we're not ready for thoughts. We have to reel more in.
Yeah.
We're like, come on, Mort. Me and Xaiphen are already here. Come on. We'll be in our Discord chat. Come on, Mort.
Yeah. I've been extremely verbose, as you guys have noticed.
I don't even know what
Rose, any final thoughts?
I mean, with CES, a lot of cool shit coming out, it looks like. With Ellie, I'm just going to forget that ever happened.
As will everyone else.
But never forget the thermal paste. Never forget
the thermal paste.
Or Polygon playing Doom. Or God forbid
Cuphead. What about Cuphead? Yeah, I was going to say.
Venture playing Cuphead. Don't forget that either.
God, that was great.
Oh, that was great.
We're past that, Kev. That was last episode. Anyway.
No. We pass L's every week.
And I mean...
And Activision holds their L this week. Because Lord knows in 6 months they'll be back to normal.
Yep.
And I'd also... I mean... This was fun. I really enjoyed being here for this podcast. I hope to be here again more often. Well, maybe with an actual webcam.
Well, we do know for a fact that you'll be on the next podcast episode because a certain somebody scheduled Rose to be on for the Pot 26 podcast. And then told
to make promises he can't keep,
and then do everything like she's showing up for the 12th podcast, and so that's not confusing at all for anybody.
So hold up, so how's that working then? Okay, never mind. I figured it out.
Yeah. So
because we had another guest lined up too, and I'm like, I thought he was coming on.
Not until February.
Okay, so we pushed him out. Okay.
No, I see. I was smart enough to not even schedule them in the same month because of that.
What day is what?
So
it's official. Mort cannot read calendars.
Yeah, that's not the only thing I can't read. I can't read names. That's okay. Let's be honest. There's a certain guest that I DM'd them on Twitter and said, yeah, and they're like, cool, be on the podcast. And I was like, I am so glad you're actually the person that I DM, because who I thought I DM asking them to be on the podcast, in hindsight, I wouldn't have otherwise. So I can't read anything, apparently. That's the moral of that story.
Maybe we need to get your eyes checked out, new pair of glasses.
Reading is fundamental.
Kev,
so
here's the irony: is Kev is joking about reading things when he ain't doing none of that reading shit.
I read about half of it. I read enough to get the idea.
Yeah.
Put my own thoughts in it because I don't like reading aloud.
He just.
What you do in response is, since Dr. A have eye condition dyslexia duck called.
Yeah.
You ever see my YouTube videos? I read the story, I get a gist of it, and I wing it.
Yeah.
And I do great at it. Because when I start reading it, I've done videos where I read it. It just has no soul because I'm reading.
In any case.
God damn it.
You've been listening to the Pixel Crashers podcast. We're live here every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, although we do the podcast on every other week, and then the other weeks of that rotation, we do a party where we get together, play some games, make fun of each other for being on the bottom of the scoreboard, Kev, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Come see me in the Crucible, motherfucker. You come see me in the Crucible.
Ain't nobody playing Destiny, man. Let's be honest. Ain't nobody playing that.
Come see me in the Crucible.
Everybody's already gone to Warframe. In any case, you can also...
They got tired of getting treated like Christmas noobs. That's all it is.
Yep. In any case, you can also find us on the audio side of things. We distribute to a whole bunch of audio sources. I don't remember that full list on here. I've said it many times before. But if you get your stuff on podcasts, chances are you can just search The Pixel Crashers and we'll be available there. I know Xaiphen's probably typing up the chat command right now in order to put that... No, he's typing up other ones. In any case,
Spotify link. We're on Spotify. I share that link.
Yeah. We are.
I failed that miserably.
You did, because you have to have the exclamation point at the beginning of the sentence. In any case,
that's how English works.
That is how the English works. God damn it. trying to get my shilling out here is really a pain in the ass with Kev around. I'll say that much.
Ow!
In any case,
We can mute him.
yeah, no, it would be boring. In any case, we also have a Discord, which you can find a link for down in the description of wherever you happen to be watching this and or listening to this. That Discord link should be correct. Kev's Twitter link may or may not be correct, depending on where you're clicking on it as, because I like to randomly change letters in his Twitter link. So maybe it's good or maybe it's not.
I'm a victim of more pettiness.
The sad part is he's only pretending it's intentional.
It's not. The thing is, it's really not intentional. It's just that Kev changes his name so damn much that I can't keep track of it. That's why in the.
Can we have a moment of silence for the Cowboys?
No.
While we were podcasting, the Cowboys held that L.
Don't they just hold the L every week?
No, they beat the Seahawks last week. I was pissed off about it. This week, the Cowboys hold that L. They eliminated the Seahawks, and they got what they had coming this week. And praise Lisa Sue. That's all I got.
Anyway, guys, we're going to get tuned out here this week. We'll be back next week for a Pixel Crashers party where we are going to be playing Titanfall 2. A game that Kev likes to play, but apparently is horrible at.
I played the game twice in the
He's
last
got more
year.
hours in that game than I do.
Which is just, he's done all the PvP stuff. So we're going to be doing Frontier Defense, which is the PvE mode, because Morty has this strange disdain for anything PvP. Don't judge me.
I have anger management issues.
That is largely what's going on there.
Lots of controllers and various other peripherals in the past.
Yep. But we're going to get signed off here, guys. We'll catch y'all next week.
Praise gaming.
Yeah. Sure.
Are we still live?
Praise Spencer too. Xbox is the best rock. Where's the Horizon?
No, stop.
He's not muted yet.
I know. It's like going.